That's cool. So your job canvas allows like HR and managers to really sit down with the individuals in teams to really
Yeah.
craft, and it's a living document. So you look at it, once or twice a year to
Yeah.
make sure that the goals of the organization, the team, and the individual are all updated to make sure that it's in sync. So essentially, the person is going to be doing what is going to help them be successful, help the team be successful, help the organization be
Yeah.
successful. So can you talk a little bit more about the job
Yeah,
canvas?
sure. So thanks for mentioning this. And this is something that's I've been tinkering in my garage. I'm not kind of a tinkerer in a garage, but my kind of my worky like a theoretical garage for about 3 or 4 years, just in terms of and I've been testing it out with clients who have the opportunity of refining it. And so fundamentally, the reason I was exploring this job canvas was that I've had a frustration with job descriptions, in the fact that as an HR practitioner, and as someone who gave them to other people, and someone who actually also had one themselves, and the fact that they tend to box people in rather than necessarily set them free. So they're out of date as soon as you've written them. They don't necessarily add value to the person or the organization, apart from maybe from a remuneration check-in occasionally or for recruitment. And they don't necessarily reflect the current roles, and also didn't talk about purpose or values in the majority of times. It talked about what you did rather than why you did it.
Right.
And yet again, the research shows that when people discuss the why, that's the thing that actually lights them up and brings that idea of intrinsic motivation that we've talked about before. And so the canvas was something that, and I'd seen a few of these when I was developing my business, in terms of developing strategy and business and value propositions, where they're saying actually a canvas is something that's not static. It's something that's kind of continually iterative and developed and evolved. And so I was thinking, could I bring these ideas, when I first came across these canvases from a business perspective, I was saying, can you bring these ideas to a job? And so it turns out you can. So I've developed, there are 9 different kind of elements of the role, of which the center is the core value and purpose. And what you find is that when people complete the canvas, it gives them a bit of a 360 review of how they do their job, and they think about the component parts of it in a way that often you're doing job without the work that you do without realizing it. This idea of a fish in a goldfish bowl, kind of not knowing that they're surrounded by water because they're just immersed in it all the time. They don't think about it.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with our work. We just do lots of things on autopilot. And so getting people to complete canvases gives them an insight to how they do their job and the important parts that they do. But it also then gives the managers the opportunity to actually see how other people see their jobs as well. And sometimes the manager's perceptions of the job are slightly different from the individual's perceptions of the job. And there's no one's necessarily right or wrong, because everyone has different roles. But it's really that kind of insight where you're saying, oh, okay. So again, a recent example from, because the HR team did something recently to them. So one group within the HR function was saying, my customers, for the senior leadership team and the customers of the business, that's what I'm here to. That person was actually, a lot of their tasks were very strategic. That's how they saw things in terms of being business orientated. Yeah. Someone else doing exactly the same job saw their key customers and employees and saying, actually, I'm here to enable and encourage employees to do great things to support our customers. So both of them are right in terms of their role, but they saw their job differently. And what the manager said afterwards, which was really interesting, is that he couldn't put his finger on why they operated in so different ways. And one of them had great kind of feedback from employees, and some people had great feedback from their leadership kind of group, and they didn't understand kind of quite why. And then just this exercise really made it really simple. So they just saw their key customers, their priority, as being different. So that's generally where they spent their time and their energy.
Yeah.
And so in terms of the kind of hybrid, coming back to hybrid work, or in terms of when we're coming back to looking at doing things differently, having this framework in place in terms of saying, what are the component parts of this job? And then maybe having that conversation about kind of what's the technology you need to do hybrid working well to make that work? What are the meetings of your tasks that you do that are best done in person or can be done remotely? What are the times of day that you need to be doing certain kind of aspects and things? Having that holistic view enables you to kind of design and shape your job to maximize the opportunities that hybrid working kind of present
Yeah,
itself.
exactly. And that's really where I find there's a huge opportunity for that, because there needs to be transparency. And what other way to be most transparent about how you're actually making your achievements to actually break down the job description on a regular basis. Personally, I always found job descriptions to be limiting,
Yes.
because I was in my job for an awfully long time. I worked the same job at various different levels over 16 years. And so by the end, when I left, it took 14 people to replace me. There wasn't one person who could do everything that I did.
I can
And
believe
I
it
was
like that.
told
Yeah.
so often, just stay in your lane, that doesn't concern you. And it's just okay, it doesn't concern me, but it could help.
Yeah.
But I got no reward from it. People would recognize that some of the stuff that I did was valuable, but there was nothing to tie it into what my actual job was. So it's just, I think that could have been beneficial. But there's also this visibility thing. I'm sure you've heard the comment about people, if they stay at home, they work from home, they work remotely, you're risking not being visible. People aren't going to know how to promote you. You're sacrificing opportunities at the water cooler to have people get to know you. Well, if you're personalizing and individualizing